Had a great time.
Why would she burn them?
Got my vote.
It's the first time we've had a crowd like this in a long time. We've had a crowd like this in a long time. I mean, it's been a while since we've had this crowd.
I didn't have to hush up just because it said you're recording. Don't say any bad words. Mine's turned off. So I guess that's good.
That was Mr. Henry.
Better is still.
That's yours.
Fine.
Keep that ice back on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. that's-
I'm with him, man.
Still doing her hair.
4 months.
How was your grandson?
And just taking my head. Fine. So he was asleep
Yeah, all over the place.
all over. It's good. Good.
Hey, Aaron, who did this new agenda? Huh? Renee? Red, white, and blue, baby. What do you think? It does look very patriotic.
I was.
Very patriotic.
The,
It looks very patriotic, you have to admit. I like
this
it.
has changed. Couple rooms, and you couldn't really let me, I haven't found it yet, so I can write on it.
I'll make notes on it.
I had to figure that out yet. Right now, I'm on page 12. I won't be roaming around it. Y'all ask me to look something up, I'll be wrong.
Did Jen come back or did she stay out there?
but she's here, so she can't
You're
go
back to
far.
doing her makeup. She can't come out.
Right.
Is that right?
That's right. I'm doing her makeup and her hair.
Are you really? Terry, are you really?
She's staying away from the makeup a little bit, but the hair I am doing.
Oh my,
Didn't see the pictures I posted on.
I did.
Yeah.
Is it her right arm that she uses? Oh, of course.
And she didn't appreciate that too much. Those posts.
They're funny. They're all in good. If she's not used to that by now, how long have you been
That's for
married?
sure. Yeah. Thank you, ma'am. Aaron, are we ready? We got a bad camera? Was it Mr. Albright that messed it up or what? Oh, just off center. Tell me when you're ready. Okay. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, we are the Graham City Council. We appreciate everybody being here tonight. We'll call our meeting to order. And I'm going to call on former council member Jim Albright to do an invocation. Jim, if you would, please, sir. Thank you for being here tonight, Jim.
All right, thank you. Let's pray. Dear Heavenly Father, Lord, we come before you and just thank you for this day today. And thank you for all the many blessings you've given to us individually and as a community. Thank you especially for all the hard work that goes on with all the dedicated city workers and the council and the planning committee and zoning committee, but also just lift up those that put their lives on the line on a daily basis, the police and fire department and others as well. Thank you just for us being able to have a safe community. And Lord, also just thank you for all the neighbors in our community and just pray that you would help us to love them as we love ourselves. And pray your presence in our meeting this evening. And thank you and ask all these things in Christ's name. Amen.
Thank you, Jim. And just in addition to the invocation, I'd like for you to remember the fire chief's family in Swepsonville. Tim Albritton passed away this past week from COVID. Please remember him and his family. And one of our own volunteers, Michael Vaughn, is suffering from the same thing right now. So if you'll keep them in your prayers, please. Would you please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we'll get it started with our consent agenda. Our consent agenda is first to approve minutes from the city council meeting August the 10th. Approve a speed limit change from 45 to 35 on Jimmy Kerr Road. To approve the tax releases of $2,312.06. To approve the appointment of planning director Justin Snyder to the plat review officer. To approve a resolution authorizing application of CBBG assistance from the state of North Carolina. To approve a resolution authorizing application of loan assistance from the state of North Carolina for drinking water replacement project. To approve a resolution authorizing the application for the loan assistance from the state of North Carolina for the replacement of Cooper Road Pump Station. And last, to approve the resolution authorizing the application for grant and loan assistance from the state of North Carolina for construction of wastewater treatment plant improvements and expansions. Yes, sir.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion that we approve it as written.
I have a motion to approve the consent agenda. Before that, does anybody want to pull anything off the consent agenda? If that not, then I ask for a second. Thank you, sir. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed likewise. Next, we have public hearings. Oh,
Mayor,
yes,
conflict of interest.
my fault. That is on my list of stuff to do. If you will read the Code of Ethics disclosing the conflict of interest, this is Mary Fawcett. She is standing by for our city clerk. Mary, if you would, please.
Members of council, I would like to remind you of your duty to avoid conflicts of interest. I ask if there are any potential conflicts concerning tonight's agenda items.
Mr. Mayor, I have none.
I have none.
I have none.
Then we report all have none. Thank you, Mary. We
Thank you.
appreciate it. Did I miss anything else? So we're all right. Next, we go to the old business. Public hearing has been scheduled to consider annexation of ordinance for voluntary contiguous annexation to extend the corporate limits of the city of Graham. Aaron, I think you're handling this for us, please.
Yes, sir, Mayor. The attached petition seeks the council's approval for an extension of the corporate limits to include the subject property. The area being considered for annexation is on Parham Drive in Wildwood Lane, approximately 52 acres. Water lines are adjacent to this location with Burlington's outfall along the creek to the south. The applicant wishes to tie on to the city's infrastructure. The annexation process has multiple steps. Following a public hearing, approval of the annexation ordinance is the final step for council in this process.
Question for the staff, Melody, please.
No, sir.
Ricky, please.
No questions.
Jennifer,
No questions.
does anybody want to speak on this? This is a public hearing. If not, then I'll close the public hearing and we'll discuss it among ourselves. What does everybody think?
Think, needs to be done.
Anyone else?
Mr. Mayor, I move we approve the annexation ordinance to extend the corporate limits of the city of Graham, North Carolina for 52 plus acres off Parham Drive and Wildwood Lane.
Thank you, ma'am. I need a second.
Second.
Okay. Does anybody else, you asked, but then she made a motion, but nobody else got to speak.
You're talking about as far as council goes?
Yeah, you were asking.
Okay, I'll tell you what, I will allow that. Do you have anything?
I just more of like an explanation to some people that might be here from the subdivision, but Brian, this is just the annexation of a pre-approved subdivision there. There's really no legal remedy that this council has to not allow the annexation to come in. Is that correct?
Yeah, we could vote not to bring it in.
Okay.
Because they are tying into our facilities. Okay. All right, well, I've got a motion. Anything else from the council? I've got a motion from Melody to approve this on page 32 is your motion. And did I have a second?
A second. Yes.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. So I'll ask the question. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed likewise. Motion passed 4-1. Next, we go to Truby Drive, and I believe this has to been withdrawn. Is that not right, Aaron?
That's correct.
Do we need to vote to have it withdrawn?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Does anyone want to speak on this?
Just a question, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir.
This is totally withdrawn, not postponed.
Yes, totally withdrawn.
All right.
Yes, sir. Does anybody want to speak on this? If not, then I move the council, I ask the council to make a motion to withdraw this.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion that we withdraw this case.
Rick? I need a
Second.
second. Thank you, ma'am. I've got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed likewise. Motion carries 5-0. Good deal. Next, we have number 3. We have public hearing has been continued to consider application by Travis Webb to rezone approximately 11 acres on Jimmy Kerr Road from I-1 industrial light industrial to RMF. And Aaron, you're handling this also?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. As you just mentioned, this request has been tabled for several months now. It is for vacant property off of Jimmy Kerr that is currently zoned I-1, which is our light industrial zoning. And it's being requested to go to RMF, which is our residential multifamily. I do believe that Lawson Brown is here to represent the applicant. If you have any further questions on the property.
Okay, let me ask questions for the staff first, and then I'll come back to Lawson. Rick, have you got questions for the staff?
No, sir.
Chipper,
No, sir.
Jennifer?
Could you outline the reasons that the staff does not recommend approval of this project?
I think that from the staff's perspective, that when this was originally brought in, it was this request along with the request from the Burton brothers for the property that's adjacent to it. staff felt that it would be able to be handled better with a conditional zoning versus the straight rezoning, just because you have a comprehensive request instead of the straight rezoning. With the conditional, you do have a little more information on what's gonna happen on the property. That's the primary reason that staff went with the recommendation that we had.
What about access to utilities?
Well, that's all part of it. There is the issue there that there is a lack of capacity for sewer, but that would have to be addressed regardless of who's developing the property, whether it's this applicant or possibly any other person.
Okay.
Ma'am, Melody, questions, please?
No, not at this time. Thank you.
And I'll move to the floor.
Mayor, procedurally, may I ask this question?
Yes,
please?
sir.
My recollection was that the council took final action on this last month rather than continued it. Do I remember an error, or have you decided to put it back anyhow?
If it's there, it's on my part. If you're saying, did I close the public hearing last month? Is that what you're asking?
I believe, and also then voted straight up on the request. I thought I remembered.
I don't think we voted on the request, did we?
We made a motion to forward.
Rick, remember, we made a motion to move it forward, to bring it back. Lawson, it's nice to see you, sir.
Great, thank you, Mayor. It's always a pleasure to be in Graham. I had an office with the Vernon Law Firm here for a long time, and I do miss being on Court Square. It's my pleasure tonight to be representing Travers Webb. Travers was unable to be here because of a minor surgical procedure that he's involved with, but he wanted to be here. His son, George, who is a land developer in Asheville, who's been here at every meeting, is here tonight. If you have any questions of me or him, please feel free to ask them. I know that the major concern that I've heard from Aaron and from others that I've talked with in terms of how this should be approved, if the city has a concern that the public utilities are not available at this time, i.e. sewer in particular, then the remedy for that is basically anybody that develops this property is going to need public sewer to get the density of the apartments that they need. The city, if you vote positively for this zoning change, the next step in this process is that Mr. Webb and I will go to the town of Hall River. I've had discussion with them about zoning the balance of the property that's in their jurisdiction multifamily, so that the whole 44 acres will be in fact zoned multifamily. If you have enough time and enough money, you can get about anything done. Mr. Webb is running out of time with the sellers, the present owner of this property, in terms of moving this ball down the field, so to speak. We certainly think that it's appropriate that you take action. The protection that I was referring to is, as Mr. Coleman has indicated, it is discretionary as to whether you will annex this property when the developer comes back with a development agreement and with an answer for the water and sewer. If it's not answered to your satisfaction, then of course you can turn down as legislative action. Your choice can be not to annex the property, so the water and sewer issues really do not come into play. And if it were developed, which it will not be developed on well and septic, but if it were developed on a septic system, the number of units would be very, very minimal. There are a number, so I hope that that addresses the concern that I've heard from reviewing what has happened in the past. So the city would be protected on that issue. As I stated, the next step is to go to Hall River and to asked for the zoning of the balance of the property to multifamily. Last night, the town of Hall River passed a rezoning request from the Burton brothers on property that is contiguous to this property on the river side of it. So I say that because one of the principles of zoning that you have applied and that I've seen in my practice is zoning district being a logical extension of existing zoning. So that zoning as of last night is multifamily. So that would allow for a logical extension of this zoning as well. The second reason that I think that it should be approved is that it's in a primary growth area. The city of Graham has been very successful with the apartment projects that it has approved. And in fact, Mr. Webb, as you know, was the seller of one of those properties out on Highway 54 and has turned out to be a fine development. Thirdly, it's clearly the highest and best use of the property. And I think that that's important. Fourthly, I think the use of this property deference needs to be given under reasonable context to the wishes of the property owners. The wishes of the property owners are clearly that it be multifamily. So I think there are good planning reasons for that. And I reiterate that the city will be protected in the sense that this property will not be annexed. You don't have to annex it if the other pieces of this puzzle don't come back together. So what am I thinking of in terms of the other pieces of the puzzle? The other pieces of the puzzle would be multifamily zoning in Hall River so that the entire 44 acres would be, in fact, available for development as an apartment community. The preliminary engineering indicates that only 22 or so of the 44 acres is going to be available. So it's going to be a fairly large complex that could accommodate 400 to 500 apartments. The entrance would be immediately across from the new school, and the development standards, I'm sure, when it goes through TRC on the eventual development of this property, that the North Carolina Department of Transportation will dictate to us what transportation improvements need to be made at that time. So what is the timeline on trying to get this done? Mr. Webb's under a contract deadline that he has been working with and has extended the contract and extended the contract. The first step in this has got to be for this 10 or so acres to be zoned multifamily so that then we can then proceed to Hall River and then proceed once they approve the multifamily, work toward a resolution of the water and sewer issues. You have system development fees. It's my experience based on Mebane in particular that apartments pay about $3,600 unit for system development fees. I think the engineering firm that you use here is one that we use as well in Mebane. So there's going to be, if you figure there are going to be 400 or 500 apartments, there's going to be a big amount of money and fees that will go to one of the municipalities. Unfortunately, I think I or Mr. Webb will have to work through the Graham Hall River utility issue, but I, standing here tonight, say that I think that we can clearly do that. It's just a question of money and time, and right now we're running out of time. I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have, but I would certainly implore you to approve this rezoning so that we can get this project going in the right direction.
Thank you, Lawson. Chipper, questions, please.
No questions.
Jennifer, questions, please.
So he already has something under contract for it to be, and you said how many apartment units?
The final engineering on that, Ms. Talley, has not been done, but we're projecting around 400 units max.
Is there some reason why you couldn't request conditional use zoning?
Ms. Talley, I was employed last week, and I think this has gone on down this path unbeknownst to me until last week. It could be done that way, but if the serious concern of you and any others on the board is that Graham's not protected if we applied for annexation, where you are protected in the sense that if you can't provide sewer, you don't annex it. And my goal is to work through with the eventual builder of the apartments and the fees to come up with a development agreement that is satisfactory to this council and satisfactory to the Hall River. It's a fairly complicated situation because of the jurisdiction, but I think we can work through it. And that's certainly my goal, and that will be the mission with which I'm probably going to be tasked.
But you're not opposed to coming back with a conditional use zoning?
My instructions from Mr. Webb are that he wants a decision one way or the other tonight because of the contract deadline that he has with the purchaser, potential purchasers that are looking at this property. And so what I envision happening if we get it approved in Hall River is that the developing entity will then come back through TRC and do a site plan review, go through the DOT issues, and the sewer issue, Ms. Talley, will be front and center, and we'll address that. We know it's an issue. Developer is not going to purchase the property unless that issue is resolved. But the critical first step, based on the time path that he's been on for the last 6 to 8 months, is approval tonight, hopefully.
I'm not just concerned about the, number one, the zoning. There's not multifamily anywhere around that surrounds this property at all whatsoever. I have concerns that there's a school that's a brand new school that people theoretically, if you put in an apartment complex there, are going to want to go to school. You have tractor trailers going by a road that is extremely busy, so busy such that we have to do some improvements pretty soon, I think over the next 6 months there, because the road is failing. You don't have walkways, you don't have ways to cross the street safely. You've got tractor trailers and a lot of traffic going down that road. So I have some safety concerns. I have concerns about land use patterns. It's not just about utilities. That's why I think that it just seems like if it would be more of a well thought out plan, I think I certainly would be agreeable to, if you see the details and you see how it's going to work and you see how a kid from an apartment across the street is going to cross basically 3 lanes of traffic to get to a school, or school's going to let out and you're going to, because I don't know if you've been down there when school goes and school lets out, but it's not a good thing, I can tell you. So, how do you safely get that person from point A to point B pedestrian wise? And, it hasn't mattered because this has been industrial all around it. So you haven't had to worry about kids crossing the street from an apartment complex, but I definitely have a lot of concerns about that. And I think if I saw a full project in detail, I would be much more inclined to approve it.
I hear what you're saying. I'll go back to your first point. There is the contiguous parcel to the northwest that's some 50 plus acres is in fact multifamily in Hall River's jurisdiction. And so there is contiguity of multifamily to this particular parcel, not to the particular zone that you're looking at tonight. But again, this is the first step in a process, and I hear your concerns, which I deem legitimate, but I think that all of those details can be worked out as we come back with a developer agreement for water and sewer services that are going to be critical to this.
That's all.
Melody, questions, please?
I do. I have questions for both the staff and Lawson, if you don't mind.
Yes, ma'am.
Staff wise, Jennifer mentioned repaving. I haven't seen anything about repaving that section in the next 6 months. Are we looking at doing that? Is that on a list somewhere?
No.
Okay.
Is that a not a DOT road?
It is
Okay.
DOT, but I haven't seen
State.
anything. Justin, have you seen it? Okay. I'm on TAC, and that is not anything that I've seen. Secondly, here is my concern, my stop. And it's not a stop, but here's my concern. If I approve it tonight, one of the things I would want to hear or for you to understand is that if we approve this, if he were to sell this in the next 2 months, okay, it goes with it. It goes with the understanding that there is no sewer capacity. So someone purchasing that property would not get the misleading interpretation that we approved it because it was suitable. Okay, that if we approve this, it is still not suitable to be built on.
I will so advise Mr. Webb, and we will make sure that it is abundantly clear to any purchaser. Of course, you know, Ms. Wiggins, from your experience here, that any developer is going to do their homework before they
I would hope so.
44 acres and try to develop 400 apartments.
That's correct.
So I hear you loud and clear, and yes, ma'am, we will do that.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Questions, Rick? Lawson, thank you for being here, sir. I've got a question. Have you ever used the act of annexation protection as a protection like you're stating?
I have, I've seen Mayor in Mebane, I've been there in-house 7 years. And of course, I've been doing this for 46 years. I have seen it where the city has approved and not annexed for a single family house in particular. I have seen in Burlington where they always historically have required a property owner to, when they hook on to water or sewer, municipal water or sewer, I've seen they always require an agreement to be annexed. I have seen historically the city of Burlington not annex. That hasn't been very recent, but yes, I have had experience with that.
As you have been the city of Mebane's attorney for years, 7 years, I think you said.
Yes, sir.
If this was sitting in Mebane's lap, would you put a rider in there on this as we vote on this to protect the city from any kind of misconception that we would put water and sewer there?
I think we can, we're agreeable to a condition. This is a straight up zoning, but I'll make a representation as to the Webb family's credibility, that we would record a document to Mr. Coleman's satisfaction that says that this does not currently have water and sewer, and anybody that intends to develop it would need to, in fact, come back to the city and get y'all's blessing on it.
Well, I don't have anything else. Staff have anything for Lawson?
I think George would like to answer that.
George, good to see you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Let us have your name and address, if you would, please.
I'm George Webb, the fourth of 129 Hudson Street, Asheville, North Carolina. And just to speak on, I have been dealing with a lot of the potential buyers. And of course, the first question is water, sewer, traffic. And your idea of attaching a rider, I think, is a great idea because that's truly what they're asking us for. They're hesitant to really dig into it when it's not rezoned. But they're certainly fully aware of the sewer issue at hand. They've seen the study that the city has done and also the work we've done with Ramey Kemp on the traffic, which actually does involve a crosswalk for pedestrian traffic to the school. So that's, we're not trying to play the shell game with anyone. I mean, they're, with all the potential buyers we're talking to, these are the hot button topics, the sewer, and they're aware of it. And I think a rider would be really helpful to have a concrete thing to put in front of them to say this is what's needed, even though we've already told them that, but that's what they've requested us to get from you guys, along with the rezoning, hopefully.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you, Lawson. We appreciate your time. Does anybody else want to speak on this from the floor? It is a public hearing. Yes, Tom, come up, please. Let's have your name and address since I missed you the first time.
Tom Boney with Alamance News at 114 West Elm Street. Mr. Mayor, just that maybe it could be clarified, is this particular property in the city limits or in the ETJ?
TTJ.
ETJ.
All right, and what about the adjacent one that appears to be to the north, which looks like it's B2, big one? Is that in Graham? ETJ orbs?
I don't have the layer showing me what it is, but I believe it is in the city limits. Trying to look up here on that map there.
And what about across the street? The I-1 and B2 and another B2? The B2 at the bottom is the another truck stop, right?
Yes, that's in the city.
All right, but what about the others? Are they city or ETJ?
Bear with me. I didn't
Sure.
know we were looking at those other properties.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm getting right over to it now. Those are in the city.
Okay. Now, and the charter school is as well. I guess my other question procedurally is whether there's any risk to Graham that Haw River could annex the triangular piece of property there, since they're adjacent on, I guess that's the.
If it's not ETJ, no, they could not.
Yeah, that's our zoning jurisdiction for that.
Okay.
Yes, Mr. Brown.
Most units that have been discussed with buyers is 350 units. So I referred to 400 and 500, but 350 is the number that is anticipated. It was a lot easier for me to multiply $3,600 times 400 or 500 than it is 350.
Yeah, that's that. All right. Did everybody ask questions of Mr. Brown? All right. Anybody else from the floor? Okay. Then I'll close the public hearing and we'll discuss it among ourselves. What is the rider I spoke of? I have no idea what I would write into that. Aaron, would you, or Brian, do y'all have any kind of suggestion? Okay, but
I mean, more like a caveat. It's not a condition.
Yeah, it's a straight, it's a straight zoning, so we're.
Like the caveat in Tory, infrastructure.
I feel like our duty is to protect the city of Graham.
What is our option then when we make the motion? Can it, I mean, it obviously, unless you say there's an attached rider in the motion, but this is not CR. So do we just say it for the record prior to the vote or in the discussion area that we are expecting?
I mean, to get to the specifics of what you're hoping to achieve with the sewer being sort of addressed at some point, it's difficult when you aren't able to apply any conditions to any future rider or anything like that. I mean, you can state it, it's just that we don't know if we can hold it to the applicant because it's not a condition that goes with the land.
You can do that with conditional use zoning.
Right, if it was
Wait,
conditional
right.
use, obviously you.
But that's not what this is.
But this isn't, one of those zoning types that you can apply
That's
a
right.
condition to. So you're pretty limited to what you can state that will go with the land except for the zoning change itself.
Okay, so it essentially what we're saying is it can't really go in the motion. However, there does need to be a public statement on record that's written into the minutes that says, we want this to be clear.
I mean, you can obviously have the request that in the minutes that is stated that council wishes to have, whatever however you want to phrase it, with the sewer being addressed or whatever. But as far as a condition, no, you couldn't apply as a condition.
Right.
Yes, sir.
Mayor, I would be very comfortable, and of course, you can change the zoning yourself. I'd be very comfortable preparing the notice that we have referenced, that basically a recordable notice that there is no sewer service, present that to the city staff. And if y'all weren't satisfied with it, you could always change the zoning back to 1IA. Understand that there's not somebody chomping at the bit to buy this 10 acres. The whole 44 acres is going to have to be purchased to make this project work. And we still got the sewer issue to work out. So we're not going anywhere with this 10 acres anytime in the next 90 days.
As you say that in this public meeting, that's good enough for me, Lawson. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, anybody else got anything?
So I just direct the council's policy to the comprehensive plan that we're supposed to be enforcing. Policy 4.3.1, promote development of the efficient land use patterns to allow continued quality and efficiency of water systems. Discourage the extension of water service into areas that are not the most suitable for the development. I really have a lot of concerns of dropping a multifamily unit complex of 350 units right in the middle of industry. And there's also the section of the comprehensive plan that say that we're supposed to be trying to develop industry and bringing industry to Graham. And if I wanted to bring industry to Graham, I mean, you look up there, it's like, it's an industrial park without necessarily being called an industrial park, but everything around it is industrial or B2. I just feel like the traffic and the safety issues of trying to plop down residential units, especially multifamily residential units in the middle of an industrial park, just is not the proper use of zoning. That's just my opinion. I would be much more inclined to agree with the changing of the use of this land under a conditional. This is the whole point of a conditional use project, so that we can see all the details and we can see all the T's crossed and the I's dotted and know exactly what we're going to get. And with this, like he said, it's not going to be developed in the last 90 days. It doesn't seem to me like if this council declined this particular straight rezoning, that we would be protecting the citizens of Graham. We would be consistent with our land use plan, and the developer could still come back with a conditional use zoning project that I think everybody could agree on. I just don't like to rush these kind of things and then end up having a mess. So I'd love to hear what the other council members feel, but there's been a reason that this has been postponed and postponed and postponed, because we haven't felt comfortable with doing it. But I just don't like it just keep coming up, and then it's like, does it break us down to just give in and the citizens get the short end of the stick?
I don't think we're just giving in. I think we've finally got a portion of this that we can work with, and not really surrounded by industry because it's all empty land. It just happened to be zoned that way. The rest of it will be changed into multifamily. Haw River's already got one piece coming in that they voted on last night. I read the article on that last night. So it's It's gonna be there. Whether or not this piece comes in will not have anything to do with Hall River's rezoning of their property. They will build there, coming in with the water from Hall River. This just gives them an entrance and an exit from it. So I'm all right with it. I truly am. Travers has worked hard on this and he wants to try to market this. So personally, I'm all right with it.
I want to point out also, Mr. Mayor, that, once we approve this as straight up rezoning, they have to go back to TRC. Any concerns of water sewer, any concerns of traffic are all going to be met, or this TRC will not approve the subdivision. So taking care of our people is what we do, and that's what it does. And so that's, to say that we're going to hold out until we see a plan that's, whether it's quote to our liking, is really not. That is the job of our TRC to take care of all of those issues.
I understand her. She would like to see it zoned a different direction, but that is up to the applicant. It's not up to us to make that call. Shipper, what do you think, Rick?
Make a motion, the application be denied. Based on the application is not fully consistent with the Graham 2035 comprehensive plan, 4.3.1 land use patterns regarding the promotion and development of efficient land use patterns to allow continued quality and efficiency of water systems, discouraging the extension of water service into areas not suitable for development. In regard, and also 3.3.5, safety, providing for the pedestrian safety at all street crossings, including crosswalks and signage. 2.4.2, encourage the reinvestment and intensification of existing industrial sites.
I have a motion. Before I ask for a second, I will ask Chip and Rick if they have anything to add since we.
I think we're protected on this. And one reason it's been put off so much is the Truby Drive development. And now it's falling through. So I think we're protected.
Rick, have you got anything to add? All right, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I second the motion.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed likewise.
Aye.
Aye.
Motion fails 3-2. Or 2-3.
Mr. Mayor, I would like to make a motion that the application be approved. The application is consistent with the Graham 2035 comprehensive plan. The action is reasonable and within the public interest for the following reasons: strategy 2.3.1, policy 5.1.1.
I have a motion. I need a second.
Second.
Thank you, sir. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed likewise.
No, sorry,
I vote no.
no.
It's 3-2. Jennifer voted nay.
Let me, a job here. I'm gonna go to Brian. Brian, please tell me what to do there. Jennifer voted actually twice accidentally on the first one. Gotta make sure. All right, thank you. The vote passes 3-2. Good luck, George. We're pulling for you. Lawson, it's good to see you.
Very much.
Thank you, Lawson.
Consideration.
Okay. All right, let me see where we're at here. Next, we have a public hearing has been continued to consider application of Ben Green Iconic Holdings. Aaron, you handling this, please?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, and the applicant has requested to have this tabled again. It's 38 acres off of East Gilbert Street that they're asking to rezone from I-1 to RG, which is our general residential. I'm sorry, I-1 and RG to CMXR, which is our conditional mixed-use residential, to allow for 453 dwelling units, which includes 396 apartments and 57 townhomes. But as I mentioned earlier, the applicant has requested to table it for another month.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion that we table it for one more month.
I have a motion. Before I ask for a second, I'll ask for anybody in the floor have anything to add to this. If not, I have a motion. I need a second.
Second.
Thank you, ma'am. I have a motion and a second to table this to the next meeting, which is what date? Sorry, I scared you, didn't I?
October the 12th.
The October 12th meeting, would you add that to your motion?
Yes, sir. I make a motion that we table this till our October meeting, which is the 12th.
Thank you, sir. The second, would the second be all right with that motion? Jennifer? Okay, I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed likewise. Yeah. 5, we have a public hearing has been continued to consider a text amendment to development ordinance. I think the planning and zoning asked to postpone this also because they wanted to work on it a little bit more.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion that we table this until such time as the planning board is ready for us to move forward with.
I have a motion. Before I act on the
Second.
motion, I will ask if anybody from the floor wants to talk about this. Dean, are you all right with us moving it forward? Okay, Dean's on our planning and zoning board. So I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, ma'am. I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed likewise. Before we go to public comments, let's recognize our new planning director, Justin Snyder. Justin, you want to get up and say hey? Nice to have you here, sir.
Thanks, sir.
Next time we will make you work. Okay, public comment hearing period. First is Jim Albright, 404 Southwest Maynard Road in Cary. And he wants to talk about the first annual Alamance Hispanic Heritage Festival. Jim, if you would, please, sir. And you can introduce and bring everybody up at the same time because I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 people.
All right, thank you, Mr. Mayor. We brought along our own photographer. This is Karen Webb. She's over Alamance Citizens for a Drug-Free Community, which is the agency I work with.
I didn't recognize you, Karen. I'm sorry with the mask on. It's good to see you.
I have a young lady with me this evening. Her name is Corrales Pichardo Nunez, and she is a senior at Graham High School. And she is going to read some information concerning our upcoming festival. So I'm going to let Corrales read a little bit there. So take it away, Corrales.
Excuse me. Each year, Americans, excuse me. Each year, Americans observe National Hispanic Heritage Month from September 15 to October 15. By celebrating this historic cultures and contributions of America, residents who ancestors come from Spain, Mexico, the Caribbean, and the Central South America. The observations started in 1968 of Hispanic Heritage Week under President Lyndon Johnson and was expanded by President Ronald Reagan in 1988 to cover 30-day period starting on September 15 and ending on October 15. It was initiated into the law on October 17th of 1988.
Corrales is going to give you all some flyers for our event. So if you want to take those up there, Corrales, I'll finish this part. The day of September 15th is significant because it is the anniversary of independence for Latin American countries, Costa Rica, El Salvador, Guatemala, Honduras, and Nicaragua. In addition, Mexico and Chile celebrate their Independence Days on September 16th and September 18th, respectively. Also, Columbus Day, which is October 12th, falls within this 30-day period. Alamance Citizens for a Drug-Free Community, Alamance Arts, and Glen Raven are pleased to announce we will be sponsoring the first annual Alamance Hispanic Heritage Festival on September 25th at the Captain White House from 12 noon until 8 p.m. This event is aimed at celebrating Alamance County residents who have come here from various Latin American countries, which is approximately 13.1% of the population here in Alamance County. Admission is free. There'll be food, entertainment, informational resource tables, arts and crafts, vendors, a parade, and even a mechanical bull on the front lawn of Alamance Arts.
Oh,
$2 for a ride on the bull. Please come if you can. Also of note, Corrales is one of the, there's 48% Latinos, Hispanics at Graham High School. So she is one of those proud members of the student body. So I'm going to introduce you to another young lady who is going to read some of this information in Spanish. And her name is Sophia. And I'm going to let her pronounce her last name instead of me butchering that. You can just introduce yourself, Sophia.
My name is Sophia Letelier. I'm 10th grader and at Graham High School. And I'm read something in Spanish. Cada año los norteamericanos observan el Mes Nacional de la Herencia Hispana del 15 de septiembre al 15 de octubre, celebrando las historias, culturas y contribuciones de los residentes de Norteamérica, cuyos ancestros procedentes de España, del Caribe y de América del Sur. La observación empezó en 1968 como Mes de la Herencia Hispana, declarada por el presidente Lyndon Johnson, y fue expandido por el presidente Ronald Reagan en 1988 para cubrir un periodo de 30 días, empezando el 15 de septiembre hasta el 15 de octubre. Fue aprobada como ley el 17 de agosto de 1988.
Thank you, I think.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sophia. And now I'm just going to introduce Carlos Valera, and he teaches at Cummings High School and Graham High School. And also Sophia will be performing at our festival as a dancer, Colombian dance on that day. All right, Carlos.
Welcome, Carlos. Appreciate you being here, sir.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for having us. I'm Carlos Valera. I'm the ABSS Newcomers Specialist. We began last year trying to open a newcomers program. Newcomers, you know, where students who just arrived to the country, to our school system, and they don't speak, they speak other language different from English, and we have, I guess, more than 20 different languages in the school system. Sophia is one of them. She began with us almost 2 years ago. She exited my program on her last assessment. And it is, when I came here to the United States, if I may say that, I came to work at Ray Street when we had the newcomers program here with Mrs. Helen Stiles. She's the one who hired me on the phone when I was working at home. So I apologize because you didn't understand. Most of you, I guess, didn't understand what Sophia read. And that's the way a lot of, or most of our newcomers feel when they have to go to regular classes on a second language. And can you imagine spending the entire day in a class where you understand very, very little? That's why, we're trying to work this out with you. Hopefully we'll do a bigger program in the future. But thank you for inviting us, James. Thank you for inviting us, and thank you for organizing the Heritage Festival, which is really good because we have diversity here in our city, which enriches our culture and brings a lot of new things to our community. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Carlos, before you leave, let me make sure that, you used to be the newcomers was down at Ray Street, but
Yes,
you
sir.
now have relocated. Is that not right?
Well, it is not. I've been trying to talk, before starting the newcomers, I was working in central office. I was the Title I specialist for the entire school system. So, but the idea to create a newcomers program came up, and I said, well, I want to do that. So, because we don't have it anymore. It was closed in 2005, I think, when they ran out of money. And yes, we do have ESL teachers, English as a second language teachers everywhere, in every school. and they do serve the newcomers. But the reason to have a newcomer center is not only to help them with the academic, well, we start with survival, academic language. It is also about culture. We need to help them understand and feel part of the community. And the only way they're gonna feel part of the community is when they understand the culture, not just the language. Because I can understand any language, and maybe I've never been to the country where the language is spoken, so I don't know the culture that much. So now we don't have sites like a location for the newcomers program, which is very sad because when we had the newcomers program here back then, we had people from different counties coming to observe our newcomers program. Now we don't have one. So we sort of like moved a little bit the wrong direction. So, but we do need that because we have more than, I would say, close to 200 newcomers. They're coming.
Ask one more question.
Yes, sir.
What does it take to get out of your program? You said she graduated this past year from.
Yes,
so
we
what
have
does
a,
that-
yes,
What did she do to do that?
yes, sir. We have a criteria. The newcomers program is for students who just came to the country. And every student that comes to the country, they're given a fluency test when they are being enrolled. It is called WIDA Access Screener. And that test, it is like a 4 different tests because the students, they have to be testing the 4 language areas, which is listening, speaking, reading, and writing. So the scale for the test go from 0 to 6. If they get 4.9, it means they're fluent enough. They're able to function in the classroom academically. So if they score a composite of 2.5 or below, those are the ones we serve through the newcomers program, because those are the ones whose fluency is very, very low.
Thank you, sir.
Oh, thank you guys for having us here. Thank you.
Good luck with it. Jim, thank you, sir.
Last thing, Sophia's family is here also. Her mother and little brother are here also supporting her. Okay, thank you.
Now, I
very
told
much.
him he was going to have to speak, Jim, so you, good luck with that.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. And good luck with the festival we're pulling for you. Okay, last but not least, I have one more, Keith Westbrook, and Keith wants to talk about sidewalks and litter. Keith, if you would, please. It's good to see you again, sir. Been a while since you've been
Good
in our
evening,
meeting.
everyone. My name's Keith Westbrook. I live at 604 Trockwater Court. And the reason I came tonight, I didn't know they was having a meeting yet, so that's why I come. I want to talk about littering. I live off of Trollinger Road, Graham High School, in front of Graham High School, cul-de-sac. Me and my dog walk up and down that road on that sidewalk 2 or 3 times a day. At the end of Trollinger Road, where you first come on off Elm Street, like you're going to school, that man right there got something done that I couldn't get done for a year and a half. Limbs hanging over the sign, the school sign, the sidewalk. In fact, when they come and cut it down, you know the comment he made? That limb was ready to fall. I barely touched it. So I knew it was a problem. All right. DOT says it's not our responsibility. This one says it's not our responsibility. I called this man right here. And you want me to tell you, the next morning at 9 o'clock, them boys was up there and they did it because I was waiting to go and mow that little patch of grass because nobody else wants to mow it. I want my community over there. I want it to look good. For the last 2 weeks since school has started, I've been going up and down the road picking up trash. Never say nothing about it. I don't care. I just do it because I want it to look that way. Here's 5 receipts between North Graham Elementary and the end of Trollinger Road on that sidewalk and in the street and on the road. Here's 5 receipts from litter bugs. Nobody will do nothing about it. I want to know what your position is on it as a city. And if there is anything we can do. I understand it's not feasible to have the police. That's not their job. But is there anything we can do about if?
We're doing the same thing you're doing. I'm picking up trash myself.
I understand that, but two, the other question I guess I had on that was, if we could have people in areas like I am over there and do this, is there any way that we can put up signs maybe where we have problems with littering within the city?
Very good suggestion. So let me look into that and see what I can do.
I'd be happy with that because look, I don't want no pat on the back. I don't want nothing. All I want is, that's my neighborhood. And that is part of Graham. That's my neighborhood. I feel like the people that live in that neighborhood down Trollinger Road, in the court where I live, for the most part, everybody takes care of things.
Today.
And, you know, and I do want to tell you,
I'll pat Aaron on the back.
we
for
had
you.
a conversation. He knows, do you know who, you remember talking to me? You do. You made a comment and I want to make sure that it's understood, because that comment stuck right here. A lot of things don't stick up here, but that did. You said during our conversation, at one point, you said you thought the city of Graham did a good job. And what did I tell you? I told you they do, and I'll always tell you that because you do. And I don't want you to feel like I was being disrespectful or anything like that, because I was not. What was I at? What were we talking about at that time was over on that Trollinger Road, because it's a DOT road. I don't understand if it's a DOT road, but I live in Chalkwater Court. This is city maintained, correct?
Yes.
But the road is DOT maintained. I don't want to know why we have such disparity between a DOT road or a road in, if it's city, whatever, we all still have to maintain it. Now, I'm going to guarantee you one thing. The DOT ain't going to do nothing, and we know that. Did they run over there and take care of that problem? No, you did. You had you guys come over and took care of it, and I appreciate it. In fact, I think I left you a voicemail thanking you. Bert, I left him a voicemail thanking him, and I left the mayor. Because I want you to know that you're appreciated, and you do a good job. But I want you to understand the same respect, Aaron. When people like me are over here, and you know yourself, people feel, I'm telling you this because that's what people tell me. I live over here. What is Graham? They don't care about me. I said, yeah, they do. They do too. You know, but anyway, that's the thing. And the other thing I was wanting to talk about was that was with the sidewalk was blocked there, part of that problem, and it's been taken care of. But I was told, and I don't know, I have not researched, I don't get on the internet and do all this mess. Someone told me the other day that if a sidewalk is within a municipality, that it's up to that municipality to maintain that sidewalk. What I'm talking about maintaining sidewalk is there's not branches hanging in the, you know, it's passable. Okay, this one sidewalk was not passable for all that length of time and whatever, but it's, you know, but I want to know, do you know anything as far as that fact that the DOT's telling me that if it's within a municipality, that the city's supposed to maintain the sidewalk?
You're exactly right. We will maintain that sidewalk.
Okay. But now you see, that's a DOT road. Does that?
The DOT road, a pothole in that road is DOT's responsibility, repaving it. The ordinance having to do with the speed limit and stuff. If you look at Pine Street, the school zone in Pine Street is listed
Middle
as,
school, all right,
it's 20 miles an hour.
all right.
It's 25 at on your road. And
Trollinger.
the reason
Yes,
being,
sir.
DOT says it can be 25 and that's it.
And I talked to someone about it.
We can do whatever we want to on Pine Street.
Oh, yeah, I understand that. But, you know, I mean, I don't know. I guess it's because I've heard over all these years that, well, it's a DOT road, so we're not, but you know what? I know we're not responsible, but still, you know, good stewardship, just like that. That's what I'm talking about. That's why I like living in Graham. Because of people like him that you say, if it's a problem, I felt like this when I was done that day, after I talked to Aaron, I felt like something's gonna happen. I don't know what, but something's gonna happen. And guess what? It did. Just like nobody wants to claim ownership to mow that area right there. It's a patch of woods there by the school, so the school is really responsible. There's a patch of woods between the two schools that they're not under contract, the ones that mow the schools, so they won't mow it. So guess what? I don't care. I'll go down there and mow. I mowed in front of the sign down there the other day because it was up to my knees. Took me, what, 20, I don't care, but I'd rather have it look better. But I just wanted to make sure that you know that this man right here, he knows it. But I want to make sure y'all know that you do a fine job. And anything we can do about the litter, and think about the signs, though. I thought about that and I didn't know. Hey, I can even help you make signs too, so let me
Thank
know.
you, Keith.
Okay, thank you very
Yes,
much.
sir. Don't be a stranger. Okay.
Sounds like a good Boy Scout or Eagle Scout project, or adopt a local city road.
They still have to
Project.
adopt the highway program, and maybe we could stress on maybe the Boosters Club or something to adopt it.
It may already be adopted.
Well, if it is, we need to call them and
Right.
tell them they're not.
I'm not sure, but it may already be.
They're not taking care of their kids. Okay. All right. That's all the public comments we have, and I thank everybody for them. Next, city council comments. Melody, have you got anything?
No, sir.
Ricky?
Yes, sir.
Chipper?
Yes, sir. One quick thing. I would like to thank everyone who has helped me, cared for me, prayed for me. City workers, staff, police, fire, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. Jennifer, you got anything to add?
I
Dog
just,
dogs, you want to mention it, please?
I do. About the West Elm Street pipe project, did that get underway and get, Aaron?
I'm trying to remember if it was, Tanya, was the street open? I know it was closed. It was closed yesterday. Yeah. So it's still working on it.
Okay, do you have like an end date? That's just, people are asking like when it will be fixed. I mean, week, month, not a month, right?
Right. Because you had utilities and public works that both had something to do.
Okay.
So I would have to check with Bert to see. I would hope that they're closer to being done, but I would hate to give a particular date without knowing if they're waiting on something.
Okay, they might be waiting on materials or something like that. Okay, if you'll just get with me, Aaron, and let me know that. And then Doc Dogs, we have this upcoming weekend, starting on Friday, the 17th, the 18th, and the 19th. It's a national dog agility competition where dogs run down a dock into a great big huge pool. It is a fundraiser, largest fundraiser for the veterans group here in Alamance County called Alco Vets. The competition online for the professional dogs sold out in 4 minutes. Everybody wants to come to Graham, thank goodness. And so we'll have dogs coming. I know there's like 11 dogs coming from Florida, some from Texas, all across the country. So to come and compete. So you guys come out and enjoy a wonderful day at the downtown. We'll have a band Friday night at 7 o'clock, which plays R&B and Motown type songs and cover songs. And on Saturday night at 7 o'clock, we'll also have a band South of Southern. We have a car show that's going to be coming up that is going to benefit Family Abuse Services, which is on October the 9th, which is before next council meeting. And I just wanted to mention that. And then I wanted to mention something that I wanted to get some input on. This past month, we lost Jeannie Robertson. And I just felt like there's such an outpouring of affection for her. And, she was so really well known. I think she had over like 100 and like some ridiculous, like a lot of people that followed her on YouTube and all of her different platforms, social media platforms. And I just would like for the city to do something to memorialize her and what she meant to this community. And so either some naming opportunity or some sort of sign, something that just says like Graham, home of Jeannie Robertson. So I wanted to, I thought that there's we could all like kind of put our heads together and come up with something that would be a great naming opportunity for her. And also I want to throw out the name of Jane Albright. I think Jane, she's like kind of a local celebrity as well here. And so I love being able to tell people about who she is and what she does, and that she decided to come back home in her retirement years. But we'd love to be able to do something for Jeannie Robertson. So anybody have any interest, please let me know. And that's all I have.
I have a lot of interest in that. I think it's very proper that we should honor our local people that have really made a national
Yeah.
thing. So yes, let's look into that. I suggest us get a group together that can sit down and do some thoughts on it. So let's do.
I think the museum is also working on something. Jane has been, I think, at the cuff. Jeannie for sure has been in their thought process and planning. However, Jane has been there as recognition, and I think eventually, but I think you're going to see Jane again. Jane's already been inducted into the Sports Hall of Fame, so I think you're going to see that highlighted through the areas of the museum. So I think that we are, but I would be more than happy to be involved in seeing both of them actually recognized in a greater way.
Me too. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Let's go to Mary. Mary, would you let us know, especially Thursday at 7 and whatever else you have going on?
Sure. First, I'd just like to congratulate the team effort from the first annual 9/11 commemorative event that was collaborative between fire, police, and rec. There were over 200 running participants that came out. There was not one person that didn't have a smile on their face. Positive comments, request after request. Please make this an annual event. So I know tomorrow the planning committee is meeting, and I feel very confident that will be on the calendar in the future. So thank everyone who was involved in it and for their support. In addition, this is the month of movies in the park. The rec department has a movie in Cook Park on Saturday evenings. Jennifer mentioned the downtown event of Dot Dogs, and then we also have Oktoberfest coming up at the end of the month.
Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome.
Chief Cole, would you give us a rundown on Michael Vaughn and Tim Albritton's services?
Yes, sir. They just announced Tim's Friday night presentation at Bethel Baptist, Saturday, 11. I'm not sure that's correct. At Bethel Baptist.
Can you tell us anything about Michael Vaughn?
Well, actually, I just found out about that today myself. So I don't have a lot of details. I understand that not that well, but I don't know.
Okay. No, sir. Thank you. All right. Brian, sorry. Aaron, you got anything else?
Just a couple of things. I first want to thank Mr. Westbrook for the kind words, but I can't take any credit for that. Our staff are second to none. Burke and his guys, they jumped at it, and that's just how they are. So look, if you want to thank me, I just had to pass it on to them and let them know it was a job well done. I do want to again welcome Justin on board. He comes with a lot of experience. His last stint was in Hillsborough, but he has quite a bit of experience in planning. So his expertise is very much welcomed, and I'm glad to have him on the team. So I just want to say welcome to him in front of everybody here. The last thing I had was that a few of the council has had conversations with me about looking at ideas with retention, ways to keep our folks here on board. The economy and the way the job market is right now, the recruitment and retention are very challenging, and we're not alone in this issue. I think that there are some ideas that we're tossing around. I may try to get some ideas of where I'm thinking, maybe in the updates, but maybe if council's fine with it, some ideas on when it comes to maybe looking at some of that ARP fund towards possibly looking at some, I don't want to call it bonus pay, but for our essential workers, looking at something there, just to have something for folks sticking around and then something for folks to work towards. So I'll try to craft something for our next meeting.
Thank you, sir.
That's it.
So I just wanted to say, I talked to Aaron about that quite a bit, and just wanted to, an update in maintenance. We have how many open positions?
We filled a couple in Burke's department. He was down, how many? It's 3 now. I think it might have been down to 5, which
Yeah,
is
I think
tough.
he was.
Tanya was down more than that.
She's down 6, and then the street department was down 8, right? They were down 8 people.
I'm not sure if it was 8, but it may have been across the whole department.
Okay.
Going across different divisions of the department. But if you look at other jurisdictions in the area, in the state, it's the same thing. It's just very difficult.
And having 12 people and being down 8 is a big difference when, as opposed to saying having 50 people being down 8. So, I think we really, as a council, need to do something to help our administrative staff be able to recruit people and keep people here and not moving to other municipalities. So I hope the council will be in on that. Anybody also that didn't get to the 9/11 dedication memorial on Saturday, I hope you guys will stop by there. It's beside the Love Graham sign in downtown Graham.
With that being said, I need a motion to adjourn.
Mr. Mayor, make a motion, do we adjourn?
I need a second.
Second.
I'll second it. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Thank everybody for being here. We appreciate it. Let me see if I've got to sign anything. I don't think I did.